to chapel and back, and the children, when the Sunday schools were very busy in those days, and that field was, people used to stream up and down there on Sundays,
really?
Morning, afternoon and evening.
Sounds like something from Thomas Hardy. Beautiful description. Well, we've covered all the questions, so you just carry on talking if you wish. You've anything more to say?
My grandmother came to live at Little London when she was 2 years of age. She lived at the cottage now called Boltop, and she went to King's Court School from I'm trying to think, about 1880, I think. She must have been there. Yes. And she had to pay threepence a week to attend school in those days, and she left school at 13. And my father also attended the school, and he left at the age of 14. The local gentry then were quite important. Sir Alfred and Lady Apperley, who lived at Rodborough Court, where Randall and Payne now are. And my grandmother said that in those days, when their carriage went by, the poor people were expected to bow and curtsy, and that went against the grain. I thought that was lovely, and I thought I'd like to do that. And she said, "Oh no, you wouldn't." She said, "There'll be no more bowing and scraping in this family."
So that would be the end of the 19th century, would it?
Yes,
people were expected to show that.
Yes,
that's fascinating.
Yeah, there's also a story that she told me, and my father told me, that there was a lady who lived up at Little London who used to entertain the rent man regularly, and I guess there was a bit of adultery going on, and the villagers made her effigy and burned it.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
and that I think was about 1915, round about then, I think.
That is fascinating.
Yes. And they actually made her effigy and burned it. I was never told the name, but I know they...
Yeah, that is a real rural tradition.
Yes.
It's called Skimmington, I think.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
I've come across it before, but as I say, really in about the mid-19th century.
Yes.
Now, Rodborough Court, I'm always hopeless on this. So that's so the Appleys lived. Is that the big place on Walkley Hill?
Where Randall and Payne are now.
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Yes.
So that was
he had that built. He pulled down the house that was there before and had it built. Yes. Yeah. And it was a rather lovely, grand place, and he owned all the land from there down to his mill at Redler's. He owned Redler's mill, which was then Apperley's mill.
Right.
He owned all the land down there, and he owned the land down Kingscourt Lane, the farm down there. There was a farm at the end of Stringer's Close, opposite to where the present farmyard is.
Right.
And that was a model farm, which was the most modern in the district, my father used to say.
Yeah. Oh, I heard that from Barbara Cook.
Yes.
Keep going. I'm just making wee notes here that I'll write on.
Yes, my father, I said he went to King's Court School. He was born in 1908, so I guess he started school about 1913, is that right? And Mr. May was the headmaster then, and I think he was headmaster when my granny was at school as well. And towards the end of his 37 years at the school, he was in poor health, and my father and another sturdy lad who lived in Little London used to fetch him in a wheelchair from his home round at Fir Tree Villa and push him round to King's Court School, and I presume they went down Bowl Hill, which I find that quite amazing. Yeah. And in May, for the 1st of May, the children used to decorate the school gates and with beech leaves, which I believe they called May, and they all used to wear a little sprig of the new beech leaves. Don't know what else I know about the school. Well, my father used to get up early in the morning and fetch the milk for the big house on top, which is called Brayside. He used to go down to the King's Court village, where there was a farm, a dairy farm in those days, and fetch the milk and deliver it to the big house on the top, before he went to school.
All right.
And sometimes the cows got through the fence into the woods where the wild garlic grew, and the milk would become tainted with the oniony smell.
Oh, really?
And then the farmers had to, I believe they gave it away then, because they couldn't sell it when it... And the King's Head was, in those days, it was run like a market garden, and you could buy fruit and vegetables there. And we used to buy our fruit and veg, particularly salad vegetables, at the in Walkley Hill,
Right.
where there was like a little nursery there, and we'd get eggs from the farm. Of course, there were two farms. There was James's farm and Walter's farm. Walter's was the one that used to belong to Sir Alfred Apperley. My father told me a story when he was young. People were very poor, and there was one family he knew where the mother used to actually cook birds' eggs.
Right.
And they because they were poor, they gathered anything free that they could. Mushrooms. My father, all his life, he gathered mushrooms and blue legs and puffballs when they're young on the common and the fields around.
Okay.
And nuts, of course. Used to go nutting and blackberrying. And there was watercress round in Rodborough Fields somewhere. There was a stream, and that was their regular source of watercress. And my granny worked at Holloway's clothing factory, and she walked from here down Rodborough Fields and up across the town. When I was a little girl, my grandfather worked at Tyler's furniture factory up in Thrupp, Griffin Mill, Thrupp, and he also walked to work, as did other men from around here, and they walked and track up across the common and across the common through what is now the Hythe, which was a potato field during the war, and then they'd go along and down the side of Winston's to get to Thrupp, and he did that for many years. They got plenty of exercise in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the old footpaths that people use there